Hey guys, today I'll show you a horror thriller film collection named The Curse of Second Channel, Part 1. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The first story begins with a woman walking out of an obstetrics and gynecology clinic, rubbing her belly with a look of despair. She walks alone for a long time until she can't go any further and sits down on a park bench. Lost in thought, her attention is caught by the sound of a child's laughter. It's a child playing with his mother. The heartwarming scene fills the woman with envy and brings back a painful memory. A few days earlier, when she told her boyfriend she was pregnant, she expected him to propose and offer her a family. Instead, she was met with a cold expression and an envelope full of cash. Seeing him walk away, she wanted to run after him and demand an explanation. But when she stepped outside, she saw the truth. The man already had a family. She was just the other woman. Her heart sank. But what could she do? It was her own fault for falling for the wrong person. Back in the present, the woman gets home from work that evening and, as usual, prepares to open a beer to drown her sorrows. Standing on her balcony, she notices a strange person. To be more precise, it's a small child waving at her. The woman finds it odd but decides to ignore him. She goes back inside and starts running a bath. While waiting, she lies down on the floor and accidentally falls asleep. She is suddenly jolted awake by the sound of a baby crying. Waking up, she remembers her bath water and rushes to turn it off. Back in her room, she suddenly remembers something else, the boy outside earlier. Thinking of this, the woman returns to the balcony and sees that he is indeed still there. This time, he is waving with both hands, greeting her. The woman's heart softens and she inexplicably waves back. The child is overjoyed to see this and immediately starts jumping up and down with excitement. This sight brings a moment of comfort to the woman, but in the next instant, the boy takes off at an inhuman speed, seemingly heading straight for her apartment building. The woman panics. She becomes frightened and starts to wonder what to do. Just a moment later, she hears the sound of rapid footsteps coming from the stairwell. The woman is terrified, but after waiting for a long time, there are no other sounds. She cautiously opens the door to check. Seeing no one there, she feels relieved. However, the boy suddenly appears, scaring her so much that she frantically pulls the door shut with all her might. She finally manages to lock him out, and the night passes. The next day, the woman tries to search online for information about the boy, but finds nothing. The following evening, the boy even follows her to her workplace. She sees him waving at her and then charging towards her at incredible speed. The woman is terrified again. She tries to shut the door to keep the boy out, but it's no use. The two of them end up in a chase around the office. The woman scrambles and tumbles, running clumsily. She finally makes it to the balcony and successfully locks the door behind her. The boy can't get in and can only shout at her. From his mouth movements, it looks like he's calling for his mom. But the woman is already scared out of her wits. In this situation, even if he were calling for his grandma, she wouldn't open the door. After a while, the woman sees that the boy is gone and begins to relax. But for some reason, she starts to climb onto the rooftop railing, about to fall. At the last moment, a hand grabs her. The woman turns to see the boy. He has a very sad expression, as if he doesn't want her to do this. When she comes to her senses, the boy is gone. The woman can't find him and prepares to go downstairs. But as she turns, she sees the boy waving at her again. This time, it seems like he's waving goodbye. The woman feels like crying. After the ordeal of the past half night, she is utterly exhausted. Inside the elevator, she can barely stand. Exhausted, she slumps to the floor, and there she sees the boy again. His face is contorted, and in a strange voice, he begs her to play with him a little longer. The woman lets out a blood-curdling chicken scream and, shortly after, dies to meet Satan. The second story begins with a man walking down the street when he unexpectedly runs into his ex-girlfriend. He's both surprised and delighted. It's been a long time since they've seen each other after their breakup, so they immediately find a cafe to catch up. They broke up about a year ago at the girl's suggestion. After the breakup, she vanished into thin air, which left the man heartbroken for a long time. Now, seeing her again, he's overjoyed. The girl, however, wants to know if he has a new girlfriend. The man pauses for a moment before replying that he has one, sort of. When asked why he said sort of, the man begins to explain. He says his new girlfriend is highly psychic and can sense the presence of ghosts, making her paranoid every day. She is a bit older than him, and they met at a group date mixer. That night, they missed the last train, and the man jokingly invited her to his hormone-smelly place. To his surprise, she immediately agreed. This caught him off guard, but he was also secretly thrilled, having been single for a long time and desperate for companionship. However, the moment she arrived at his front door, she apologized and said she should probably go home. The man was unwilling to let her go, thinking she was having second thoughts about him. But the woman explained that her strong spiritual senses were telling her that something was very wrong with his apartment. She was worried something might happen that would scare him, so it was better for her to leave. But how could he let that happen? He was mentally and physically prepared for the night, and besides, the last train was long gone. Ignoring her protest, he pulled her sexy body into the apartment. Once inside, the woman began to look around, remarking that there were even more things inside. The man was shocked, asking if she meant his apartment was full of sexy ghosts. She clarified that it wasn't that they lived there, but that they used his apartment as some kind of passageway, with many spirits passing through. The man couldn't understand what she was talking about. Besides, it was getting late, and he thought they should get to sleep like pigs, believing a smelly hormone yoga night like this was precious. But in the middle of the night, the woman shot upright in bed, saying the situation might be getting bad. She said she had never encountered one this strong before. The man asked if she was okay and if she wanted something to drink. The woman replied that she needed to throw up. The man might not have understood what she meant, but he held her to keep her from convulsing. A moment later, the woman had a terrifyingly violent bowel movement. After that incident, the man terminated his lease and moved directly into the woman's apartment. In her words, her home was protected by something like a natural spiritual barrier that kept unclean things out. Later, one evening, they went out for dinner. As soon as they arrived at the restaurant, the woman got a very bad feeling. In a daze, she saw a female ghost following their waiter. During the meal, the woman accidentally spilled some wine. When the waiter came to clean it up and touched her hand, she was hit with a vision of the waiter's past with the ghost. It turned out the ghost was his girlfriend. They had gotten into a serious argument, and in a fit of rage, the waiter killed her, seemingly on the very table where they were now sitting. The woman was horrified by this vision, saying the grudge was so strong she probably couldn't handle it. While the waiter was clearing the table, the female ghost realized that the woman could see her. The ghost immediately possessed the woman's body, walked over to the waiter and killed him, sending him to hell to serve Satan. Perhaps because of this possession, the woman began to be taken over by all sorts of strange entities, at any time and any place, even within the supposed safety of her barriered home. The man had to take care of her all night long, occasionally seeing a completely different version of his girlfriend, which was, to say the least, thrilling. The possessions had been getting worse recently, and one time she even came close to killing him. The flashback ends. The ex-girlfriend asks if he's considered finding an exorcist. The man says it's useless. They've tried before. He's in a real bind now. Breaking up with his current girlfriend is out of the question, as she would never let him go. He admits that he misses the time he spent with his ex-girlfriend. He confesses that he has always loved her and says that if he could do it all over again, he never would have broken up with her, even though he knows it's pointless to say so now. The ex-girlfriend smiles faintly and says she feels the same, that she knows everything, and that this is precisely why she has come. Her words leave the man confused. Following her gaze, he sees his current girlfriend approaching their table. He has no idea why she's there and worries about how he'll explain the situation. But when his girlfriend sits down, the man is stunned to find that his ex-girlfriend has disappeared. Then his girlfriend begins to speak, but it turns out she's his ex-girlfriend. She apologizes for startling him and explains that she is now borrowing his girlfriend's body to talk to him. She assures him that no one else can interfere and that he can relax. The ex-girlfriend continues, revealing that she had a terminal illness before. That was why she forced herself to break up with him. She didn't want to be a burden. But now, knowing how much he's struggling, she has returned. She says she will wait for him here forever because he still loves her and will never betray her. And that's where the story ends. The good news is, he can finally have the best of both worlds. He's free from his current girlfriend while also being with his ex. The bad news is, his ex-girlfriend is a ghost. The third story begins during a class break when a student named Hannah notices a tense-looking couple. They seem to have encountered some trouble. Curious, Hannah eavesdrops and learns that the girl has some kind of ghost photo on her phone. From her boyfriend's complaining tone, it seems the girl took the photo herself. Now they might be in trouble. The girl asks her boyfriend if she can delete it, but he's worried that deleting it rashly might bring on a curse. The man is distressed by this. After a moment of thought, he tells her not to delete it yet. If it really is a curse, it could be deadly. Just then, the school bell rings and the two of them hurry to class. Their cryptic conversation piques Hannah's interest. She immediately logs onto a forum to research curses related to ghost photos. While she is engrossed in her reading, her homeroom teacher appears and snatches her phone. The teacher tells her that using her phone during class is forbidden and confiscates it, saying she will keep it until after school. As Hannah walks away, the teacher wears a fierce expression. That afternoon, as school is about to end, Hana goes to the faculty room. Seeing that the teacher is not there, she prepares to take her phone back. Unfortunately, she runs into the teacher on her way out. Luckily, the teacher doesn't say anything, but she still has that same stern look. That night, Hana goes home and continues her research on paranormal events on her computer. The information suggests that ghosts and similar entities do exist, but some people's brains, possibly as a self-preservation mechanism to avoid being scared to death, automatically block these things from view. However, if you're determined to tempt fate, there are ways to see them, such as using cameras or similar devices. This involves concepts like energy fields and particles. These devices can capture and record them, making them visible in another form. This is the origin of ghost photos and paranormal videos. After reading this, Hana glances at the dark kitchen and suddenly has an idea. She picks up her phone, closes her eyes, and snaps a few pictures. A sudden phone call makes her jump. She answers and hears that it's her best friend. Her friend knows that Hana is interested in paranormal events, so she asks if Hana wants to go with her to a really fun place. Hana, of course, agrees. The next day, the two of them go to the place her friend mentioned, a building in the school's backyard. As they talk, they look around. When they turn back, a creepy woman has appeared out of nowhere. The friend is startled and quickly points her out to Hana. But interestingly, when Hana looks, there's nothing there. She wonders if it was a hallucination, thinking it's unlikely to see a ghost in broad daylight. They go inside. The place is very dusty, complete with a classroom and blackboard. After looking around for a while, Hana stands motionless in front of a mirror. It's not until her friend calls out to her a long time later that she hastily responds and turns to leave. In doing so, she misses the eerie sight in the mirror. Soon after, the friend takes Hana back to the main school building and into a storage room. There's a mirror here too. Seeing it, the friend pulls a small mirror out of her bag. She asks Hana if she knows about the facing mirrors phenomenon. As a seasoned paranormal enthusiast, Hana certainly knows. Legend has it that at midnight, if you hold two mirrors facing each other, something will crawl out from the depths of the mirrors, or you'll see your own aged face. The friend suggests that if they take out a phone at that moment, they're bound to capture something. The two get more and more excited as they talk and end up running off. Unexpectedly, around a corner, Hana bumps into her homeroom teacher. The teacher looks the same as always, with a fierce and intimidating expression. Hana scurries away again. Soon, they find another classmate who is a gentle and timid girl. The two of them look at her and grin mischievously. That night, despite the timid classmate's whimpering, they take her to the storage room. They tell her to go in first. The timid girl is too scared. Seeing this, the friend gets angry and forces her, threatening to beat her up if she doesn't go in. Frightened, the girl enters, and as expected, she sees a ghost and lets out a blood-curdling scream in a chicken voice. The two run in and comfort the timid girl, telling her she must have just seen her own reflection in the mirror. Although the girl keeps shaking her head and insisting it wasn't her, they don't believe her smelly bullshit. They take out the small mirror and look. The time is approaching midnight. Hana starts the facing mirrors ritual. After the countdown, the friend slowly sees something terrifying and screams that something has gone terribly wrong. It seems something really has happened. Curious about what they saw, Hana takes the mirror. She sees a female ghost with a scarred face. She too runs away in fear. But when she gets outside, she realizes her friend is gone. Hana can only run towards the exit, but for some reason, she doesn't leave. Instead, she finds a corner and starts looking through her phone's photo album. What she finds is shocking. There are many ghost photos, including pictures taken when she first arrived and pictures she took at home earlier. Hana is terrified. She wants to leave, but turns and comes face to face with a spirit. In her terror, she swings the knife in her hand. The room falls silent. Hana opens her eyes to see her homeroom teacher standing in front of her, and she has accidentally killed her. Now she's in deep trouble. The story ends here. The fourth story begins on a quiet night when a salaryman is alone in the office. Busy with his work like an office drone, he has completely lost track of time. Looking at his watch, he sees it's almost 1 a.m. He notices his phone blinking, picks it up, and sees 10 missed calls, all from his wife. The salaryman has a bad feeling and quickly calls her back, but the call doesn't go through. To cheer his wife up, the salaryman buys a small gift on his way home. But when he enters the apartment, he doesn't see her. The sound of running water from the bathroom tells him she's probably taking a naked shower, so the salaryman heads towards the bathroom, very excited to see a naked wife. The moment he opens the bathroom door, the salaryman freezes. His wife has terminated her own sexy life. The salaryman can't understand why, but no one can answer him. A few days later, the salaryman manages to pull himself out of his grief. The dead are gone, but life goes on. However, with so much happening recently, the salaryman is mentally and physically exhausted. He accidentally falls asleep at work. In a daze, he sees crimson blood flowing towards him. The salaryman senses something and opens his eyes. He sees his dead wife. Startled, the salaryman wakes up from his bloody, wet dream. The salaryman feels he's just too tired and decides to call it a day. As he's about to leave, he suddenly receives an email with the subject, "The Way to Another World." He feels like laughing, wondering if this is some kind of prank. Without thinking much, he deletes it and goes home. But just as he reaches the downstairs of his building, he runs into his mother-in-law. She calls him a murderer, accusing him of killing her daughter. The elderly woman is devastated by the loss of her daughter, but he too has lost the one he loved. So he pushes his mother-in-law aside, rushes home, and quickly locks the door, determined not to let her in. His mother-in-law curses him from outside the door for a long time. Time flies. 2 months pass. The salaryman finally finishes the data he's been working on overtime, but his boss is not satisfied. He gives the salaryman a final 3-day deadline. If he can't finish it by then, he'll be fired. The salaryman feels wronged, but is helpless. That evening, on his way home from work, he receives that special email again. This time, the salaryman doesn't delete it. He clicks on it. He sees a detailed guide on how to travel to another world, with each step clearly explained. The salaryman is captivated and decides to try it out in an elevator. The first step to the other world is to enter an elevator and press the buttons for floors 4, 2, 6, 2, and 10 in sequence. When the elevator reaches the 10th floor, you must not get out. Instead, press the button for the 5th floor. When the elevator arrives at the 5th floor, someone might get on. You must ignore them. No matter what they say, you must absolutely not reply. Just remember to press the button for the top floor. The salaryman keeps this in mind and follows the instructions carefully. At this point, the elevator doesn't go up but descends rapidly. He must not panic and is strictly forbidden from pressing any other floor button, or something bad will happen. A woman asks if he can press the button for the 2nd floor for her, as she forgot to turn off the office lights. The woman speaks to him, but the salaryman ignores her. Soon, he successfully returns to the 1st floor. This is said to be the other world. The woman tells him to be careful. The salaryman looks around and finds that nothing seems different. So was that guide just a prank? And he actually believed it. After all this trouble, it's 2:30 a.m. The salaryman walks home as usual. Nothing seems out of the ordinary along the way. He can't help but grumble to himself. He opens his front door and is suddenly greeted by his wife welcoming him home. The moment he sees his wife, the salaryman panics. He knows he has truly succeeded in reaching the other world, but this version of his wife sees him trying to run and quickly grabs him, holding on tight. The salaryman is terrified. He then notices the computer on the table. The salaryman instantly understands. The email about the way to another world was sent by his wife. The reason is simple. She says she is very lonely, so cold she's about to freeze and she doesn't want to be alone anymore. But the salaryman accuses her, asking if she really had to commit suicide for that reason. Hearing the salaryman say this, his wife bursts into tears. She cries that when she was alive, he never spent time with her, and now that she's dead and he's here, he still wants to leave. In fact, from the 10 missed calls earlier, it's clear that the salaryman's wife is a person who is extremely insecure and prone to overthinking. Her imagination runs wild. Hearing his wife's words, the salaryman's heart softens. He rushes forward to hug her, explaining that he worked hard to give her a better life and asks why she was so foolish as to give up. His wife is moved by his words and lets him go, allowing him to choose for himself. After a moment's hesitation, the salaryman chooses to leave. He runs off without looking back. To return to his own world, he must get back to the elevator within an hour and successfully reach the top floor. The salaryman remembers this and runs fast like riding a Tesla bike. He finally dashes into the elevator at 3:27 a.m. and presses the button for the top floor. Watching the elevator slowly ascend, the salaryman begins to relax. But when the elevator reaches the 19th floor, it suddenly stops. As the salaryman is confused and shocked, the elevator doors open. His wife is standing there without any makeup on. She says she has come to take him home. Before the salaryman can refuse, she pulls him out of the elevator. The salaryman tries to resist, but it's useless. In the end, filled with despair and reluctance, he goes home with his late wife. The fifth story begins with a disheveled person sitting in front of a computer, obsessively pressing the down arrow key on the keyboard as if possessed. As he presses the key faster and faster, the text on the screen scrolls by more and more quickly. Completely absorbed, he is oblivious to the editor standing behind him, who is there to chase him for a manuscript. After being ignored several times, the editor turns to leave. But just then, the sound of the key pressing stops. The editor turns back curiously and sees a truly terrifying sight. After a transition, a young woman, Mina, is editing a photo. It's a simple task of adding a black bar, but she struggles with it for a long time. Frustrated, she is called away by her chief editor. The chief asks Mina if she knows Korea. Mina nods eagerly, saying of course she does. Korea is a well-known horror novelist who has a serialized story in their magazine. Seeing that Mina knows her, the chief says that makes things easier. Starting this month, Mina will be in charge of liaising with Korea. Mina is shocked, saying that a former editor was always in charge of Korea before. The chief explains that the former editor has suddenly become unreachable. He adds that there have been rumors that editors in charge of Korea all end up quitting. The chief speculates that it's because people who write horror novels get cursed, but he doesn't believe in any of that. The chief knows that Mina joined their company because of her love for the paranormal and horror. This Korea, however, doesn't answer calls or reply to messages. Manuscripts have to be picked up in person. As a result, the editors assigned to Korea have quit one after another. However, Mina is still willing to take on this task enthusiastically. When her boyfriend hears the news, he tries to dissuade her, saying the whole thing sounds ominous. But Mina thinks it's no big deal. She says her boyfriend doesn't read horror stories and doesn't understand Korea's status in the horror community. Mina has always idolized Korea. Now that she has the chance to be in charge of Korea's work, she is overjoyed. Her boyfriend tries to persuade her a few more times, which leads to an argument between them. The next day, Mina visits Korea. She knocked, but there's no answer, so she lets herself in. As soon as she enters, she hears the sound of typing. Deeper inside, she sees a messy room and a very sloppy person sitting in front of a computer. Mina introduces herself and mentions that Korea is her idol, but Korea still ignores her. Mina has no choice but to leave her business card and go. After leaving, Mina is ecstatic. Although Korea's place is a mess and the person is sloppy and the whole atmosphere is creepy, for some reason she thinks Korea is amazing. Perhaps this is how exceptionally talented people are. It's beyond her imagination. Back home, thinking about what was on Korea's computer screen, Mina finds herself on a forum called Second Channel and starts browsing with great interest. A few days later, the chief suddenly asks Mina how things are going with Korea. He says he's never met Korea despite working with him for so long. Mina can only reply that everything is fine and that the author is very special. A few more days pass, and Mina goes to get the manuscript, again letting herself in. Inside, she sees Korea sitting in front of the computer, staring blankly at the forum. Mina has no choice but to kneel behind Korea and watch him stare blankly. For some reason, Mina looks very haggard at this point, probably from staying up late recently. After a long silence, Mina can't help but speak. She muses that it must be difficult to write during the day. She wonders if it's because she's there and asks if the author minds. Korea still doesn't answer, so Mina tries to sneak a peek at him, but as Mina slowly leans forward, Korea moves slightly, as if in annoyance. Mina has no choice but to shut up her smelly mouth. But then, something strange happens. Mina looks around Korea's room and her expression changes, becoming almost ecstatic. It's very odd. That night, Mina tells herself that it's okay if she can't see her idol's face, as long as Korea can produce the manuscript. But for some reason, Korea has stopped writing. If he doesn't write, how can Mina do her job? And if she can't do her job, how will she explain it to the chief? At this thought, a light bulb goes off in Mina's head. She seems to have an idea and rushes to Korea's computer to do it herself. The next day, Mina looks even more haggard. Walking down the street, her boyfriend has to call her name several times before she responds. He asks what's wrong and why she hasn't been answering her phone lately, saying he's been worried. Mina explains that she's been too busy with work. She says the author she's in charge of is too willful and won't write a single word unless she's there watching. So she goes every day to push her, saying that the author can't do it without her. With that, Mina tells her boyfriend she has to go to Korea's place and leaves abruptly. Her boyfriend is stunned, feeling that Mina has changed a lot. Back at Korea's, Mina continues to press him, asking if it's really impossible to write during the day and if they'll make the deadline at this rate. She begs the author not to just sit there and stare, asking how she's supposed to do her job like this. At this point, Mina is on the verge of a breakdown. She can't understand why the once brilliant Korea can't write anymore. She doesn't get it. After some thought, she starts muttering to herself, saying that if the author can't write, maybe she could ghostwrite for her. After all, it's just the two of them in the room. No one would ever know. The next day, Mina goes to Korea's house again, but upon arriving, she is shocked to find that Korea is gone. Mina panics. If the author is gone, what about the manuscript? She goes to the computer to see how much the author has written and how much is left, but what she sees leaves her dumbfounded. The author hasn't written a single damn word. Mina is on the verge of tears, saying there's no way they can make the deadline now. She thinks she could help by writing a little, which would be better than nothing. She recalls a few horror stories, like the legend that a suicide's soul remains where they died forever. With that, Mina starts typing. But as she types, she feels something is off. The story she's writing seems familiar, so she opens the second channel forum and scrolls down. She is shocked to find that she's seen this exact story there before. Mina immediately thinks of a second story. She quickly searches for it and finds that it's also on the forum. The deadline is fast approaching, and she doesn't have much time. The more she thinks, the more agitated she becomes. The more agitated, the more she mashes the down arrow key. The more she presses it, the more she discovers that many of the stories she intended to write are already on the forum. This vicious cycle continues until Mina breaks down. A few more days pass. Her boyfriend, unable to contact her, goes to Korea's house to look for her. He knocks politely a few times, but there's no answer. He tries the doorknob, and the door opens. A foul stench hits him as he enters. The man forces himself to walk in, fighting the urge to gag. He sees a person with disheveled hair sitting in front of a computer pressing the down arrow key. He can't see the person's face. He assumes this must be Korea. He introduces himself as Mina's boyfriend and says he's looking for her, rambling on for a while without getting a response. The man feels he might be intruding and prepares to leave. But as he turns, the key pressing stops. He turns back curiously and sees his girlfriend, her eyes rolled back, mouthing, "Help me." At that moment, the boyfriend is too terrified to recognize her and just screams in a chicken voice. Then, he is scared to death. In the next scene, the chief editor is cleaning up the mess. As he struggles to move the body, he grumbles to himself. He leans in to look at Korea's manuscript on the computer and remarks that this looks quite interesting. He adds that even the most untalented person can write something interesting when pushed to their limits. The scene shifts to a new employee who has joined the magazine. Like Mina, she is editing a picture when she is suddenly called away by the chief for a new assignment. He asks if she's heard of Korea. The girl says she's a fan. The chief then assigns her to liaise with Korea. The girl asks if Mina wasn't in charge of that before. The chief says Mina has suddenly become unreachable. It turns out there is no Korea at all. Or rather, every editor who disappeared or eventually quit becomes Korea. Each time one of them goes crazy, a perfect horror story is written. One after another, the cycle repeats itself until one day it's discovered. The chief editor is the mastermind behind this plan. He uses this cruel method to make the Korea IP famous and his magazine a success. The sixth story begins with a timid woman who has been afraid of scary things like horror movies and paranormal stories since she was a child. She has always avoided them, but as an adult, she ended up with a very brave boyfriend. His hobbies are the complete opposite of hers. He loves horror movies and paranormal stories from Daniel CC Movie Channel. Some say that love is about complementing each other, but the woman feels she and her boyfriend might not be a good match. One day, while they were out for a walk, he was even browsing a horror forum. The woman got angry and had a big fight with him. But after she got home and thought about it, she felt she shouldn't have gotten angry with him. After all, he had told her about his interests when they first started dating. With this in mind, the woman decides to try to accommodate her boyfriend and starts to explore horror stories herself. She opens the second channel forum that her boyfriend often browses. As soon as the page loads, she is stunned. There are so many paranormal stories of all kinds. Just reading the titles makes her hair stand on end and gives her goosebumps. But thinking of her boyfriend, she perseveres and keeps scrolling down. She finds the post her boyfriend was reading earlier that day. Clicking on it, she reads that someone found a strange diary. The person who found it feels very uneasy about it. It looks like a child's language exercise book used as a diary. The diary is filled with various torn pages. The diary itself is not unusual, but the content is very peculiar. Reading this, the woman is so scared by the content that she has to pause. At the same time, she feels a chill down her spine all the way to her smelly butt, as if there's something unclean in the room. She finds it strange. She's clearly terrified, yet she's getting hooked. The rest of the diary entries are rather chaotic. They are disjointed and don't make much sense. There are also some entries in purple ink, mostly apologies. The person who found the diary feels like it's a suicide note. He found the book on the street out of curiosity. After seeing the strange text, he wanted to throw it away but was afraid of being cursed, so he kept it and sought solutions online, which led to this post. While he is trying to figure out what it means, the founder receives a strange phone call. The caller demands that he return her diary and says she's on her way over now. At the same time, the woman's phone rings, startling her. She answers, and it's her boyfriend, calling to apologize. Since she's not angry, they agree to meet the next day. The woman wants to tell her boyfriend that she's reading the same post he was, but she decides to tell him in person tomorrow. Then the woman returns to the diary. She subconsciously glances at the mirror beside her and sees a terrifying image for a split second. She is horrified. When she looks again, everything is normal. She looks at the time. It's already 4 a.m. She is no longer sleepy and continues reading. However, the post doesn't describe the diary's content anymore. It's just the poster writing about how scared he is. And then it just ends. After finishing, the woman finally goes to bed. In the afternoon, she goes to their usual meeting spot, but her boyfriend doesn't show up even after a long wait, and he's not answering his phone. The woman has no choice but to go to his place to look for him. When she enters, she doesn't see him at first. Instead, her attention is drawn to the open laptop and its contents. The post has been updated. The poster writes that he originally planned to say this after the reply count reached 900, but now it seems it's too late. He's starting to worry he's been baited, but it's too late to worry now. He says there are 8 names at the end of the diary and warns everyone not to look past the names. He doesn't say why, only that some things are better left unknown. He says the diary feels like a trap and advises everyone to stop following the post. He adds that he might be overthinking it. If the diary is just a child's prank, then it's fine. If not, then he's done for. And then there's nothing more. After reading this, the woman is terrified. She glances to the side and sees something that looks like a language exercise book. Next to it is a dead body. It's her boyfriend. He's dead, still holding a pen, clearly having written something before he died. The woman is very scared, but also very curious. The more scared she is, the more she wants to look. So she doesn't leave, doesn't call the police. Instead, she picks up the diary. She sees the messy handwriting, the strange drawings, and at the end, a list of names. Among them are her boyfriend's name and her own. Just then, a child's voice says that since she had looked at the diary, they could be friends now. There's no one else around, only her, so it's okay to die. Suddenly, a child appears behind her and calls her name. The 7th story begins in the morning when a woman opens her mailbox. Inside, besides the newspaper, is a love letter. The woman is momentarily stunned, then overjoyed. She happily takes the love letter back into the house and hands it to her son. The boy takes it and sees that there's nothing written on the envelope. So how can his mother be so sure it's for him? The boy suggests it might be for his dad. Hearing this, the woman bursts out laughing, saying that's impossible. Given his dad's current state, how could that be? She says if it were his dad back in the day, maybe, but now he only has her. Hearing this, the boy immediately gets up and leaves. He doesn't want to be fed a bunch of mushy stuff so early in the morning. Back in his room, the boy's expression changes from blank to a slight smile until his mouth is stretched into a wide grin. He's thrilled. He never expected to receive a love letter. He is eager to read its contents and even more eager to find out who sent it. However, after reading the letter, the boy falls silent. The love letter doesn't seem to be for him at all, especially the signature at the end. He doesn't know the name. The boy is speechless and throws it away. But for the next 3 days, he receives the same love letter. The boy is very troubled and tells his classmates about it, saying the person's behavior disgusts him. On the 4th day after school, the boy opens his mailbox and, as expected, finds another love letter. His mother sees it and praises him for his undiminished charm. But seeing his distressed look, she advises him to just throw the letter away. The boy refuses, saying that if it's a stalker, the letter is evidence. Back in his room, after much hesitation, the boy decides to open it. Inside, he finds a portrait. The creepy drawing startles him. It has an unsettling quality that makes him feel uncomfortable just looking at it. The boy quickly shoves the portrait back into the envelope and puts it in a box. But that night, he has a nightmare. He tries to get up but can't, as if he's experiencing sleep paralysis. In a daze, he sees the portrait on the ceiling, looking down at him with what seems to be a sinister smile. The boy is terrified. Then he is able to move again, When he gets up, he sees the portrait has somehow come out on its own. He instinctively wants to tear it up, but remembering what he said earlier, he stops. He just puts the portrait back in the box. The boy is baffled, now knowing why this is happening. He tells his friend about it again. His friend suggests it might be a curse and asks if he has offended anyone recently. The boy is clueless, thinking it's impossible. Just as he says this, he feels someone watching him. He looks to the side and sees a girl staring at him. So, is this pretty girl the one sending him the love letters? Thinking this, the boy hastily hangs up the phone and heads towards the girl. But when he gets there, the girl is gone. That night, back home, the boy finds that the girl's portrait is missing. It's nowhere to be found. He rushes downstairs to ask his mother if she moved anything on his desk. His mother understands he's talking about the drawing and says she threw it away because it gave her the creeps. The boy quickly asks where she threw it. She says today is the burnable garbage day, so she tore it up and threw it away. It's probably at the incinerator now. The boy is a bit angry. He's not blaming his mother, but he has a new theory about the love letters and the portrait. He explains that at first he found it disgusting and scary, but upon further thought, he feels there's a hidden message in the letter. He has a wild idea that it's a cry for help disguised as a love letter. As he says this, he gets no response from his mother. He turns to look and sees a horrifying sight. His mother is holding a kitchen knife and cutting her own hand. The boy is terrified again, but he only shouts for her to stop. She doesn't, and he doesn't try to physically stop her. In a daze, he sees the girl again. After a transition, his mother is gone. The father and son sit on the sofa in silence. After a long time, the boy tells his father that he will be next. He says it's a curse. His father, seeing his son's dramatic behavior, feels like slapping him. The next day, the boy uploads all the love letters to the internet. He wants to ask netizens if anyone can figure out the mystery of the letter. The responses are varied, mostly jokes and teasing. Few are genuinely trying to help. The boy has no choice but to plead with them to stop joking, as it's a matter of life and death. Seeing this, the users finally tell him that the beginning of the letter is a code. The boy quickly uses a pen to trace the beginning of the letter and indeed finds a message, an address and an apartment number, 205. The boy goes to the address, opens the door, and walks in. The room has no electricity and is very dusty. It seems to have been unoccupied for a long time. As he walks inside, he steps on something. He looks down and sees a photo frame. He picks it up and is shocked. The people in the photo are his father and the girl he keeps seeing. His father looks very young in the photo. He turns around and sees the girl hanging behind him. In his terror, a memory is forced into his mind. Back when his father was young, he decided to break up with the girl because of her persistent clinging. After he left, the girl missed him terribly and wrote him many love letters, but for some reason they were never sent. Eventually, tired of writing, she took her own life. Back in the present, the boy is now also dead, in the same way as the girl. His father is heartbroken by this news. He sits at home drinking alone, full of sorrow. Just then, his empty glass is refilled by someone. The man looks up, and his sorrow turns to terror. The person who filled his glass is the girl he broke up with all those years ago. The girl says that finally it's just the two of them. Then, with blood streaming down her head, the girl lunges at the terrified man. The 8th story begins with Mayu complaining to her boyfriend, Shinji. She says her manager is always trying to ask her out, even though he has a girlfriend. She says he's a player and that she hates that kind of person. Just then, her boyfriend's phone rings, but he doesn't answer it. His girlfriend asks if it's a spam call. Seeing Shinji's evasive look, she suspects he's hiding something, but Shinji doesn't say anything and she doesn't press him. That night, at Shinji's place, while giving him a towel, his girlfriend sees his phone. She secretly takes it and looks through it. She sees 3 emails from a woman named Sasa in his inbox, and Shinji has even arranged to meet her. Mayu is furious. Just then, Shinji comes out. She immediately confronts him, asking who Sasa is. Shinji claims she's just an email friend. His girlfriend doesn't believe him, pointing out that they've already planned to meet tomorrow. Shinji confesses that they met on a dating website. Mayu sighs and, using Shinji's phone, prepares to send a message to this Sasa. She types that she is Shinji's real girlfriend and that he won't be meeting Sasa because he has a date with her tomorrow. She adds that it's a shame, but Sasa should stop emailing him in the future. After typing, she sends the message, finishes up by deleting the contact. That night, while they are fast asleep without a hormone yoga session, Shinji's phone rings incessantly, but they don't hear it. The next morning, Shinji is sitting by the window, looking troubled. Mayu asks what's wrong. Shinji shows her the multiple missed calls. She asks why he even gave the woman his number. Shinji explains that she asked for his number because they were supposed to meet. Mayu retorts, asking if he has to give it just because she asked. Mayu is puzzled by this, but tells Shinji to just ignore it, and the woman will find another man. Mayu tells him that she'll let it slide this time, but he better not think about cheating again. Mayu easily forgives Shinji, and they get dressed to leave. But as soon as they step outside, Mayu gets the feeling that she's being watched. It's a very unsettling feeling, but when she turns to look, she sees nothing. During work, Mayu receives a text message from Sasa. Mayu is a little scared. She can't figure out how the woman got her phone number. She finds Shinji and asks him again if he really met that woman on a dating site and why she also knows her phone number. Shinji says he doesn't know either. She then points out that the woman's texts are weird, full of strange spaces. Shinji suggests that maybe the person is crazy. It seems Mayu's brain might be a little off too. Not only does she quickly believe Shinji's words, but she also finds the woman's texting format strange and feels the need to correct it. So she replies to the woman, basically telling her that her texts have too many spaces, and if she doesn't know how to text properly, she should just stop to avoid embarrassing herself. Soon after sending the message, she gets a reply, still in that strange format, which is both incomprehensible and chilling. That night, Mayu copies and pastes the woman's texts and posts them online, asking for help from the internet community to decipher them. Unfortunately, netizens are not omnipotent. Just then, she hears a strange noise from outside the window. She goes to check, but sees nothing. Then the noise comes from outside the door. She goes to check again and finds a crumpled piece of paper in her mailbox. She opens it and sees that the content is the exact text message the woman sent her. Mayu is trembling with fear. The next day, she plans to tell Shinji about this, but Shinji doesn't show up. He doesn't answer his phone or reply to her text. He has just vanished. It's not until evening that she receives a call from Shinji. But when she answers, Shinji is silent. Then, she hears the strange noise from outside the window again. Mayu pulls back the curtain and sees the dead body of Shinji. Mayu is so shocked, she collapses to the floor. At the same time, she receives another text from the woman on her phone. Seeing it, Mayu is terrified, almost scared out of her mind. She doesn't check if her doors and windows are locked, nor does she call the police. Instead, she runs out of her apartment like a mad cow, sprinting wildly. Soon, she reaches a restroom, trying to hide from her pursuer and do her smelly business. But she has miscalculated. The woman has followed her to the restroom and is peeping at her from above, admiring her smelly business. Mayu is horrified. There's no escape. In the end, she is taken away by the woman without finishing her pee and poop. At the same time, back in Mayu's apartment, the strange text message on her phone has changed. It has become 2 words, telling her to die. The 9th story begins with a girl named Chiba, who is an editor for a supernatural magazine, but recently the stories she writes have failed to satisfy her boss. Chiba wants to know what's wrong, but her boss doesn't say, instead just finding excuses to ask her out for a drink. Chiba is not that kind of person, so of course she refuses. That afternoon, on her way home from work, Chiba sees the body of a dead cat. It looks like it was tortured to death by someone. Chiba is furious and instinctively looks towards a girl on the other side who is also staring at the scene. Soon, 2 more children run over. They see the cat and the girl and start accusing the girl of hurting the cat. The girl tries to deny it but doesn't know what to say. Seeing this, Chiba immediately comes over and shoos the 2 children away. When only Chiba and the girl are left, the girl says that it's Hisaruki who did it. But who is Hisaruki? And why would he do such a thing? Before Chiba can ask more, a woman appears, says she is the girl's mother, and pulls the girl away. Unable to get answers from the girl, Chiba turns to the internet for help. After reading many replies, Chiba concludes that this is something that enjoys hurting small animals. So is it a person or a ghost? As she's thinking this, Chiba suddenly sees a child hiding under her desk. She is startled, but when she looks again, there's nothing there. Chiba decides to go home. On her way through the park, she sees the little girl again. Seeing the girl sitting alone on a bench, Chiba goes and sits next to her. She asks the girl about Hisaruki, whom she mentioned yesterday. She says that although she doesn't know who Hisaruki is, she would like to meet him. The girl is happy to hear this, but says it's not possible right now. Just as Chiba is about to ask why, the girl's mother's voice interrupts them. After sending a man off, the woman angrily comes over and questions the girl, asking if she wasn't told to wait there. The girl says she has been there all along. Her mother tells her not to lie, accusing her of running around the house and making a mess. She then tries to drag the girl home. Chiba steps in to stop her. The girl's mother then says that since Chiba likes her so much, she can just adopt her, and walks away alone. Suddenly, the mother is hit and killed by a car that appears out of nowhere. The girl's mother is dead like a piece of shit, but the girl shows no fear. Instead, she tells Chiba that it's great she's dead and that Hisaruki wants to meet her too. But now, Chiba is a little scared. She's not so keen on meeting this Hisaruki anymore. That night, back home, she replies to the post she made yesterday. Chiba writes that she is now a bit afraid of the girl and wonders if she should change her commute route to avoid the girl in the park. Lost in thought, her boss comes over to talk to her again. Chiba looks up and, in a daze, mistakes the loaf of bread in her boss's hand for a severed limb, screaming in terror. This startles her boss as well. The boss thinks Chiba is not in a good state and suggests they go out for a drink. Chiba refuses and the boss leaves. On her way home, she runs into the girl again. This time, for some reason, the girl's eyes are covered. Chiba is a little scared and tries to sneak past, but the girl calls out to her. The girl takes off the key hanging around her neck and says that the old house next to the park is her home and Hisaruki has been waiting to meet her. Chiba inexplicably takes the key and walks towards the girl's house. The house is old and messy and every door is sealed with paper talismans. As she looks around, she hears a strange noise from upstairs. Chiba goes up to investigate and finds herself in the girl's room. Here, she hears the noise again and continues to go up. When she reaches the attic, she sees many runes. She is terrified, but before she can run away, she sees a slick-haired little boy. Seeing the boy smile at her, Chiba's heart sinks. She thinks she is doomed and lets out a cry of despair and reluctance. On the other side, the girl is leisurely drawing a picture. She draws a house, and on the top floor there are two people. One is probably the boy, and the other is probably Chiba. It's likely that the girl lures all the victims to the ghostly boy. The 10th story begins in a university folk music class, where the music teacher is giving a dull lecture on stage. The students are all busy with their own things in the stuffy classroom. The teacher says that the lyrics of some simple folk songs often hide terrifying legends, but the sleeping students surely didn't hear. Soon, the classroom door opens and a latecomer quietly slips in. Before she even settles in, she quickly takes a tape recorder out of her bag and hands it to her classmate, May. She asks May what she needs it for. May explains that her grandmother from the countryside passed away a few days ago, and while sorting through her belongings, she found this cassette tape. She heard from the adults in her family that it contains a recording of her grandmother singing, so she wants to listen to it with the tape recorder. Their friend, Lady Bro, is surprised by this and asks if May is really going to listen to it in class. May nods, saying where else would she listen to it? She then presses play. But because the tape recorder wasn't set up properly, the volume is very loud, not only scaring herself but also catching everyone's attention. The boy sitting in front of them is the most displeased. He turns around and, seeing that it's three pretty girls, says nothing and just goes back to sleeping on his desk. May turns down the volume and continues playing the tape. Her grandmother seems to be singing a folk song, but she can't understand the lyrics. However, the melody is quite nice. Just as the three of them are immersed in the beautiful song, the boy in front of them suddenly shouts and starts to transform. His body seems to be controlled by something, making creaking sounds. Then, in front of the whole class's shocked gazes, his neck twists into a pretzel shape. The girls are terrified. That night, they can only listen to the grandmother's song to soothe their fear. They don't know why this happened and don't dare to think about it. They need to do something else, so they post the song online. They want to ask the all-knowing internet community if anyone knows the meaning of the song. After the post is up, replies come in quickly. Everyone praises the song's beauty, but no one can explain the meaning of the lyrics. At the same time, on the other side, the friend also sees the post. She downloads the song to her computer and listens to it, but as she listens, she falls asleep. Then, just like the boy in class, her body suddenly stiffens and twists into a contorted shape. The next day, May and her friends have figured out a few lines of the song and written them down. She says the lyrics are not only in an ancient dialect, but also seem to be mixed with some other regional dialect. At this time, the post from last night has many new replies. Some people like it, while others don't. Those who don't like it find it too noisy, saying the song gets stuck in their heads and affects their sleep. Those who like it have made it their ringtone and have even provided a download link. May is delighted by this and immediately downloads the ringtone to her phone. After getting everything sorted out, she receives a phone call from the police station asking them to come in for questioning. When they arrive at the station, they learn that their best friend is dead. Her death was gruesome, exactly like the boy in the classroom. They were her best friends, so the police want to ask them for any clues. But May and her friends know nothing at all. May wonders if it's because of the song. She feels very guilty, thinking she's the one who caused their friend's death. Lady Bro tells her not to overthink it, saying it might just be a coincidence. At this point, Lady Bro suddenly remembers the website. She quickly opens it and sees new information. Someone says the lyrics have no meaning, but the melody is very interesting, suggesting it might be some kind of curse. Another person says the song might be from the northern region, as there are many similar folk songs there. Hearing the netizens mention folk songs, they suddenly think of their music teacher. The teacher knows a lot about folk songs. At this thought, May gets excited and decides to take the tape to the teacher to ask if he knows anything. Lady Bro doesn't go with her, saying she'll stay home and look for more clues online. May goes to school and plays the tape for the teacher. The teacher falls silent after listening. It's not that he doesn't know, he feels insulted. If only May had paid a little attention in class, she wouldn't have to ask him this question now. The content of this tape was something they had just covered this semester. The teacher flips the book to that page and hands it to May. There are 3 characters on the page, the same as on the tape. The teacher explains that this is a song for unwanted children, a lullaby sung when the child was being killed. They would kill the child by twisting its neck like that. In other words, it's a lullaby used during a rather cruel sacrificial ritual. Over time, the vengeful spirits of the children attach themselves to the song. So anyone who falls asleep listening to this song will die a cruel death. At the same time, at home, Lady Bro posts again saying this song has cost her a friend and that she is very sad. She asks if anyone knows anything more about the song and begs for replies. Unfortunately, no one knows. They suggest she consult a psychic. However, one netizen does help by removing the static from the music. He tells Lady Bro to listen again. She might hear new clues. Lady Bro immediately starts listening to it on repeat. But as she listens, something feels wrong. There are many children crying in the background. The sound sends a chill down her spine all the way to her butt. She immediately closes her laptop, too scared to listen anymore. A long time later, May finally returns. But when she opens the door, she is horrified. Lady Bro has been dead for a long time. May is terrified and heartbroken. She doesn't call the police but kneels beside Lady Bro, crying. At this moment, her grandmother's song is playing continuously from the laptop. The eerie song makes May feel drowsy, but she tells herself she can't sleep or she'll die. She forces herself to leave the room. But just as she steps outside, she is blocked by another terrifying entity. She has no choice but to flee back into the room. But before she can crawl far, her neck is snapped by this thing. The next day, it's another music class. Today, the music teacher has brought not only his textbook, but also a radio. He says he wants them to listen to this song. The story ends here. The music teacher's intentions are sinister. Since the students love to sleep so much, he will let them sleep forever using this cursed song. The 11th story begins in a winter break when Yuko is driving to her grandmother's house in the countryside. But since it's been a while, she gets lost. She stops to check the map, and at that moment, a figure flashes in front of her car. Yuko gets out to check, but she sees nothing. As she is about to get back in the car, a person in white appears behind her. Yuko looks at them curiously, and the person stands up. This sight terrifies Yuko. The person not only has disheveled hair, but is also incredibly tall. Yuko is so scared she gets in her car and speeds away, without even saying goodbye. Fortunately, she eventually arrives at her grandparents' house without any further incidents. Her sister is waiting for her at the door, and her grandparents give her a warm welcome. Dinner is great, with several pickled dishes and a large insect. Yuko is enjoying her meal and tells them about what happened on her way there. To her surprise, everyone falls silent and looks nervous. Her grandfather quickly gets up to make a phone call. She doesn't know who he's calling, only that he says the situation is serious and tells them to come quickly. Seeing Yuko is scared, her grandmother keeps comforting her, saying everything will be fine. Soon after her grandfather finishes his call, her sister tells Yuko that what she saw during the day was the 8-foot-tall demon. Her grandfather explains that the 8-foot-tall demon is a local ghost and says that it seems she has been targeted by her and will be taken to the other world. Seeing Yuko is terrified, her grandmother quickly reassures her that it's okay, as her grandfather has already called for help. Soon, the person her grandfather called arrives. They seal the door of a room with newspaper and cover the room with talisman. After everything is set up, they take Yuko into the room. Her grandfather solemnly tells Yuko that she must stay in this room until morning. She absolutely cannot leave the room, no matter what happens. Yuko nods repeatedly. Her grandfather adds that she must not talk to them either, or things will get even worse. The spiritual master reassures Yuko that as long as she doesn't leave the room and successfully stays until morning, everything will be fine. After giving all the instructions, they all leave. When Yuko is alone in the room, she is very scared, but she sees that her phone still has a signal, which calms her down a bit. She then logs onto second channel and creates a post. She writes that she has encountered the 8-foot-tall demon, is now locked in a small dark room, and is very scared. She asks if anyone will chat with her until morning. The post is successfully published, and replies start coming in. At first, Yuko feels better. If she can keep chatting like this, she might really make it until morning. But after a long time, a strange wind blows through the sealed room. The wind gives Yuko goosebumps. Then she hears strange noises from outside the door. Yuko curiously tries to look outside and sees a terrifying eye staring at her. Then the door starts to shake, as if something is trying to get in. Yuko is terrified and covers her ears, trying to block out the sound. Soon, a woman's voice asks if she's okay. Yuko turns around and sees her sister. She immediately gets up crying and asks her sister to help her, saying she's very scared. However, as she gets closer, her sister disappears. In her confusion, she feels the 8-foot-tall demon behind her. Startled, Yuko forgets the warning and rushes out of the room. She runs to her grandparents and sees that the spiritual master and the others are all there, watching her come out of the room. There's nothing they can do now. Her grandfather prepares to escape with Yuko. He says that if they can get out of the village, they'll be safe, but he is too naive. On the road, the car moves very slowly for some reason and then stops completely after a short distance. The 8-foot-tall demon appears and pulls everyone out of the car one by one. A chewing sound is heard, suggesting they are all gone. In the end, only Yuko is left in the car. She closes her eyes in fear, waiting to be eaten. But after waiting for a long time, there is no sound from outside. Yuko opens her eyes to check, thinking the demon is gone and she is saved. But just as she lets her guard down, the demon appears with a grin. She didn't spare Yuko after all. The 12th story begins with someone posting on second channel, claiming to have killed his mother, but no one believes him. The next morning, a jogger encounters a man carrying a severed head. The incident quickly blows up and becomes a huge sensation. The killer is a schoolboy. When his classmates hear the news upon arriving at school, they are all shocked. The boy was usually quiet and honest. He didn't seem like that kind of person. While the students are discussing this, the teacher comes in. He warns everyone not to spread rumors based on their own speculation and to refuse all media interviews, or they will receive a major demerit. But even the ban can't really stop everyone from talking. After school, everyone is discussing it in the thread of that post. All sorts of theories are being thrown around. After Miko and her best friend are reading through them, the friend notices something strange. She suggests that the killer boy seemed to be possessed. As she's about to say more, a woman walks in. This woman is Miko's stepmother. She is incredibly good to Miko, but Miko never gives her a pleasant look. In Miko's words, she only has one mother, even though she passed away a long time ago. Sometimes Miko even thinks that if she were possessed, she would just kill that woman. Her friend hears this and tells her to shut up her smelly mouth. The next day, a similar tragedy occurs in a neighboring city. Since both cases involve posts on the same website, the police have now combined the two cases and launched an investigation. Given that both individuals posted on the forum before the incidents, Miko and her friend feel that the forum is cursed. They believe that anyone who posts there will be cursed to commit heinous acts. So, the friend tells Miko that they must never post anything. Miko nods in agreement. During this time, Miko sees her stepmother. She is coming out of an obstetrics and gynecology clinic. What could be going on with her? Seeing Miko, her stepmother quickly runs over and, in a fawning manner, asks Miko what she wants for dinner. Miko says nothing, still with a long face. She then asks to stay at her friend's house. Her friend can only agree. That night, while Miko and her friend are chatting and looking at the forum, the friend's mother comes in. Since this incident has been all over the news, the friend's mother is also aware of it. She comes in, glances at the forum content, and jokes that she hopes her daughter won't do something like that. They all laugh their farts off. The friend jokes that the forum is cursed and that anyone who posts on it will kill their mother. But she quickly says it's just a joke. The friend goes to the bathroom. Her mother says goodbye and is about to leave. But just then, the friend appears from behind and kills her own mother. Miko tries to stop her but is pushed down and knocked unconscious. Before losing consciousness, Miko finally understands the curse will be activated if they look at the forum together with their mother. When Miko wakes up, she is back in her own home. Her stepmother has been by her side the whole time. Seeing Miko awake and well, she is very happy. But Miko, remembering what happened to her friend, subconsciously picks up her phone. Seeing her friend's post, she knows that what she experienced was real. It wasn't a dream. Her stepmother, seeing Miko like this, wants to ask her what she's looking at. Miko doesn't answer and quickly hides her phone screen. But after some thought, she feels that even if she looks at it with the woman, it should be fine. After all, she isn't her real mother. With this in mind, Miko also makes a post, warning everyone not to look at this incident with their mothers. After finishing, she puts her phone away and lies down. When she wakes up again, it's evening. Her father is back, sitting beside her with a reproachful look. He says Miko shouldn't treat her stepmother like this. He reveals that her stepmother had an abortion, giving up their child for Miko's sake. Miko is deeply saddened to hear this, realizing she had misunderstood her stepmother earlier. To be honest, in all the years her stepmother has been there, she has been very good to her. Thinking of this, Miko feels she should apologize to her. But when she goes to the woman's room, she's not there. Instead, she sees the laptop. On the screen is the content from the forum. Next to the laptop is a fruit knife. Miko quickly goes to the computer. At that moment, her stepmother comes up behind her. She says that now they can look at the forum together. Miko asks her stepmother if she knows what she's doing. The stepmother says she knows, but it doesn't matter because she's not her real mother anyway. Miko says she's crazy, that it's deadly. The stepmother says she doesn't care because she cares about her and sees her as her own daughter. Hearing the woman say this, Miko bursts into tears. She starts apologizing to the woman, saying she shouldn't be treated like this and that she isn't worthy of such sacrifice. The woman comforts her while looking at the forum. She begins to mock herself, saying that she really can't be Miko's mother after all. Just as she says this, she is stabbed by Miko. As she is dying, she sees Miko's mouth calling her mom, but her actions are not her own, as she is compelled to kill her. Even though she is about to die at this moment, the woman is content, knowing that Miko has finally accepted her as her mother. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.